Hey everybody, it's me, Remy the Comic Book Poser, and I'm here today to welcome you to Enter the Poserverse. Last week was rough because I was sick, but I'm feeling better-ish now. That's good, because I'm about to have to go to work. To see what my first new comic book day of the 2022-2023 school year has in store for me, y'all check it out after this.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Pay attention to my socials. I am not sure if we are having Shop Talk on this Thursday yet, that I'm still waiting for confirmation on whether or not I have a night meeting for my conference that's coming up this week. And next week I'll announce what the August member giveaway is, but congratulations to Big Easy's House of Pops, my soon-to-be fellow Kansan, for winning that signed hardcover Nottingham volume number 1. So without further ado, let's look at books. Alright, so I'm caught up on most of the titles that are not number ones this week, because I can read a number one and they'll probably be at the top of the stack. But from Image Comics, we have 20XX Transport number 1. This is a comic that started on the author's social media, and it was truly interactive in its nature, where like the followers got to comment on like twists in the story. So it's a new book to me that I'm sad that I missed out on this concept, because it's something that I definitely would have loved to have been down into. And the new addition, at least, to this story is that it's presented in full color, when I think it was just, pencils and inks on the webcomic version. Next up from Boom Studios is Basilisk number 10. Issue number 9 was mind-blowing to me, as we were, thinking that our villain may have been down and out, as we were thinking that members of the, cult who were aiming to become the Chimera may have been down and out for the count. There were a couple of very intriguing twists, so I can't wait to see what happens, that if the, really now the 3 women that are battling, I'm still loving this book, and I'm hoping that it's not done in 10 or 12. That I think there's some intriguing ways that this story could be prolonged, but I'm excited to see what Cullen Bunn and the rest of the crew have in store for this one. Next up, we got 3 DC books in a row. That's usually my DC pull for a month. And 2 of my Batman in the name. Batman 126 is coming out. I really enjoyed Zdarsky's first book on this, especially when we saw, what was it, Robin that died, or Nightwing? I should be able to know who that is on the cover, but one of them died. But yeah, I'm intrigued by what can happen in this arc, especially since we got to see little bits of play with a lot of villains throughout the book. Also, we've got Batman Beyond Neo Year number 5. I think I've read up to issue number 3. I've enjoyed it so far, so I'll read 4 and 5 together on Wednesday. And then our 3rd DC book in a row is Black Adam, The Justice Society Files, Cyclone number 1. I still need to read Black Adam number 1. I don't know why I'm pulling this. It might just be getting pulled because it's pulling everything that says Black Adam. I don't know. Next up from Image is The Closet number 3, another Tynion classic that I really enjoyed. Issue number 2, where we kind of got to see the real depth of how bad of a father we may be dealing with, and how the closet may not have just been isolated to New York. As we kind of saw the child's nightmare slowly creep in. So I'm enjoying kind of this slow burn setup from Tynion in this, compared to other Tynion tales. We got Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 3. I have read just the first one, so I'm behind on that. Next from Image is The Dead Lucky number 1. We're dealing with people fighting robots in some kind of dystopian future, so I'm down with that. Next up, we got Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. I'm excited. I've enjoyed each of the Edge of Spider-Verse, like, what have they been, like 6-issue minis across the last couple of years. So I'm excited for that. From Vault Comics is Fox and Hare number 2. I really enjoyed number 1, that this was a book well worth the wait after the, the delay that I think it was supposed to come out late last winter, and we ended up getting issue number 1 in June. From Marvel Comics, we get Ghost Rider number 5. I've read up to issue number 3, so I'll read the next 2 on Wednesday. Next up is one of the books that I am probably the most excited about this week from the sheer premise alone, and it's Golden Rage number 1. This is a world where women who are deemed useless are abandoned to on an island, where they, hang out with their friends, bake, and then fight to the death. I believe one of the solicitation sentences that made me want to dive into this was like Golden Girls meets Fight Club, and I was like, both of those are things that I enjoy. So we'll see how I feel about this. Odds are this is probably the very first book that I read this week. Next from Marvel is Immortal X-Men number 5. I am, I think, on Immortal X-Men number 2, that I think I'm just gonna get caught up on X-Men by building my own trades. Next up, we've got Philadelphia 24. I really liked the build of all of the different players in this, long-standing chess match that we've seen between our, founding fathers, the early presidents, the men who wrote the Constitution. And now that we get to see, George Washington's plan is interesting, especially when we get to see the Haitian general come back. Is it General Toussaint? I can't remember which Haitian it is from history, but to see him kind of emerge with his sisters like this demon slayer kind of entity, I'm very excited for. Next up from Behemoth Comics is Kingdom Come Deliverance number 1. I don't know if, Kingdom Come has been a series before that. I'm just trying to pull a lot of things Behemoth, especially their number 1, so I'll do a little bit more research on this title before I read it and see if there's a universe I need to dive back into. I already talked about how behind I am on X-Men, so that's true for Legion, and then the X titles at the bottom. Next up from Image is Little Monsters number 6. I'm all the way caught up on this, and in issue 5 we started to see that, yes, there might be human presence again, and it's really shook our group of young vampiric children to see how they respond to this universe. So we get to see the interaction between Laura and Romy, while Ray's is captured by the humans. So I'm expecting some fireworks in this final issue of the first arc of this story. But I think it's another Lemire and Wynn masterpiece that we are witnessing in real time. Next up from Image Top Cow is Metal Society number 4. This is another Zach Kaplan technology masterpiece. I really like how in issue number 3 we got some dialing back of kind of telling of the tale of how we got to the society we live in today. We get, protests and uprisings, so I want to see what happens, especially as both fighters are becoming aware that a lot is on the line for what happens in their bout. Moon Knight number 14, I think I'm read up to issue number 12, so I'll try and get caught up here. Haven't even started New Fantastic Four yet. That 1 and 2 are still sitting for me, waiting for my attention and affection. Hopefully I'll get these read, today. We'll see. Once in Future number 28 from Boom Studios. I really love the couple of turns that things took in issue number 27, especially when we saw mother and daughter come back together again. This is setting up, violence between the potential false, Arthur and Lancelot, that I still get those roles confused 28, issues into the series. Next up, I think this is our only AWA book of the week. It's Sacrament #1. I am hooked, because it is an AWA Upshot book that there has not been a single series from them that I have disliked. And the first, sentence stem has it all for me that I need. When the Exorcist meets Alien. Yes, please. Next up from Image, it's probably going to be one of my favorite series of all time. It's The Scumbag, issue number 14. It is part of the Golden Brown Eye arc, where I like how it just says simply in one sentence, Ernie finally gets everything that's coming to him. Since he's been just a massive scumbag the entire series, I want to know exactly what this comeuppance is and who it comes from in the different, dimensions of space and time that we've seen throughout this series, but it's absolutely brilliant. Spider-Man Spider-Man 2099 and Spider-Hulk, I am both behind on, so I'll get caught up on these over time, probably before I read the X-Men. Stillwater 14 is up. I really liked how things kind of came to rest in the first 2 arcs. I really liked the Tales from Stillwater, the one-shot-ish annual kind of book that we got. So I want to see what's next in store for this really wild town. The book that continues to grow on me is That Texas Blood. Issue number 16 comes out this week. I have really liked the introduction to the Red Queen Killer. That's a hard thing to say. And I want to know, what's going to kind of be afoot at this game. This is now going to be the 3rd issue into this arc, and I really feel like what we've seen from the first 2 issues, that this could be something that, sustains more than just a 6-issue arc, that there could be a bit of a longer hunt to this than there was with the murder in the first 6 issues or the dealing with the cult in the second 6 issues. But Condon and Phillips are doing a great job. I still think that the second arc and what we've seen in the beginnings of the 3rd arc pleased me more than the first arc, but, maybe it's just because we need more of that casserole dish. From IDW, we've got Transformers Best of the Rarities. I've been enjoying these, kind of anthology collections of the best and hard to find stories from different series. Next up is Twig number 4. Good chance that if Shop Talk happens on Thursday, we talk about this book because A, we love it, B, we're all caught up on it, and C, issue 3 was left on a wild cliffhanger where we kind of see Twig at a literal fork in the road on how he's going to react to something in his path, and I'm here for it. Next up, a spooky book from Aftershock. It's The Vineyard number 1, where, they bless the great god of wine and revelry, and they have to, make sacrifices to it. So I want to know if this is a different god from the traditional pantheon, or if we get a crazy dark version of, Bacchus, who's the god of, wine and pleasure. But you had me at human sacrifices. And then, our next 2, X-Men 92, House of... Is that 92 in italics, or in Roman numerals? It's 92 of Swords. So, let's see how they weave, a 24-issue event into, 1 issue. I'm excited about that. And then lastly, is X-Men Red number 5. I read issue number 1 and issue number 2. I'm probably going to reread this whole series once we hit the end of the arc with issue number 6. So what do you think? Are there any books that were not on the poll that that are coming out this week that I should try and snag? Is there anything that you're like, no, just drop it, let it die? Maybe why am I pulling 4,000 X-Men books if I'm not reading them until I have a short box full of X-Men? It's a good question, and maybe I'll answer it soon. But as always, let me know in the comments down below. As always, y'all, thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.
Hey, little girl, did you want to know a secret?
I got 5 on it. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.